Yeah! Biz, did we just see you take a slug off your morning Diet Coke?
Yeah, that's leads me to tell you guys today's pod is sponsored by Diet Coke.
That's brutal.
How many
Yeah, they're
Diet Cokes
paying
do
for
we have
this
there?
one.
Like
So
4 or 5?
thanks to our friends at Diet Coke. Thank you for paying for us to do this podcast.
I know this might cost us our sponsorship, but dude, that stuff is there's chemicals in there that make it totally it's like crack.
I know. I really have tried to stop drinking it. I drink it once a week, like if I go out to dinner. But this morning I stopped at a place and I got an omelet and I put a lot of hot shit in there, like spicy stuff, and I didn't want to have coffee with it, and I needed something caffeinated, so I got this.
It's funny because I've talked to a lot of people who are like, yeah, I try to quit Diet Coke, but I can't.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, I thought there was like such an innocuous like beverage that was like fit for children or whatever, but it's like a drug.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. Sugar.
It's absolute poison. There's nothing good can come from drinking it. So I used to
Except
drink a lot of
caffeine.
it.
Caffeine is the lifeblood that fuels the dreams of champions.
If I had just gotten like a basic omelet, I would have just gotten a coffee. But I was like, I can't have something filled with jalapenos and hot sauce and have a fucking coffee.
It's
That's a
interesting.
recipe for Hershey Splatter.
It's interesting how that stuff cascades, the like decisions you make in the day, like, you
Yeah.
know. It's like a choose your own adventure book.
Yeah, then 5 years later you have cancer.
I feel like I've had cancer for about 15 years.
Me too. I feel like I'm gaining weight because I'm so full of cancer.
So many people died of cancer this week that I would be the fourth.
Oh my god, really?
Speaking of which, I'm gonna do another an early pick of the week since we're talking about this morbid topic. Is there's a video game coming out that I want to try. It's called That Dragon Cancer, and
Oh.
it's not really a game per se. It's basically these two parents made a video game about their son who got brain cancer when he was like 1.
Oof.
And like,
Wow.
so it's like a lot of scenes of like feeding the ducks with him or like trying to get him to laugh by blowing bubbles or like doing chemo or whatever.
Oh my god, I am exhausted. I'm gonna start crying
Dude,
immediately.
so
Oh, my
if you ever
God.
listen to the show Reply All, there's a podcast called Reply All.
Uh,
They do an episode about like the whole story and like the making of this. There were tears squirting out of my eyes.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
It was like the wiper fluid nozzle was like
Yeah.
twisted the wrong way and was like spraying tears like out of my face.
That sounds really
Dude, it was so intense but
sad.
so good.
Ugh.
Anyway, they did a Kickstarter and everything. I'll put the link on Twitter. But it's just like really poignant, and it's also like a really interesting case for sharing an experience by making a game.
Yeah. We should make it.
My pick of the week is somehow related to that because I remember when I moved home from college and I didn't have a job and I was like not sure what I was going to do with myself. I watched a lot of TV. And by TV, I mean I watched the same episodes of Laguna Beach on repeat
Mm.
because I was so jealous that those people were only graduating high school and didn't have to get into the real world. They were enjoying going to college and all that kind of shit. And I made me more and more depressed. But during my late night binges of my so-called life, which was what I did at night, uh, they had one of those infomercials for St. Jude's Children's Foundation.
Oh
And
god.
here I am making negative money and I watched one of those commercials, and those are like super long commercials. They're not quite infomercial, but they're a really long commercial. And I'm bawling, and I was like, I'm gonna give. So I gave, and I like set it to auto renew every month. And then I joined a job where they auto renewed their customers as well, but
Oh, I
that was
remember.
rape. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I've been giving to them every month for the past 11 years now.
Oh wow.
And they send you stories of like kids who've never had to pay for treatment or anything. So it keeping on a sad, solemn topic, but that's my pick of the week is the St. Jude Partners in Hope program.
All right,
Wow.
good charity.
That's nice because over the course of 15 years, that's like a lot. You probably helped someone a lot. Or
Yeah, and then I'm
one
gonna
of the executives of the St. Jude's, you know. put it
it's just me, Marlo Thomas and Jennifer Aniston chumming it up on the weekend. Don't worry, I will ruin all the good faith that I've received in the early part of this podcast by going through the list of things I scribbled down the moments while we were trying to get this shit going.
All right, let's get to some scribbles.
Can I tell you guys a gross story?
I mean, how else would we? This podcast thrives on gross stories.
Yeah.
It's kind of related to the cancer topic that we had before. So I have this like hangy mole on my neck. It's like it's not quite a skin tag. It's like if a skin tag got fucked by a mole, and it was just like it's weird, right? So when my barber shaves my neck with a straight razor, he's very careful because he's nicked it before. So I got a haircut on last weekend. You couldn't tell because I haven't styled it yet today. But I was sitting in a meeting yesterday, and I'm just like rubbing my neck, and I feel like it's kind of irritated, right? The little mole that I have, and I could feel like a tiny hair coming out of it. And I guess when he cuts the hair, and it started to grow back. So it was this like tiny little bit of stubble. So I'm in this meeting in a tiny conference room in my office. Liz has been to my office. We have these tiny little, not the big room that I'm in right now, but we have these tiny little cubbies. And there's 3 of us in there. Everyone has their laptop on their desk, like on their lap, trying to focus on the meeting. It was a conference call with like 8 other people. And now I'm like, I've got to pull this hair out because it's like dead center of this little mole. It's almost like imagine a birthday cake. Imagine a birthday candle in the middle of a cupcake. Like, just want to pluck it out, and then you feel so satisfied.
Yeah.
So I can't get it, and then I like go down to type, and I see that my pointer finger and thumb are covered in blood.
Oh!
So then I go and touch it with like the palm of my hand, and I have blood all over my hand, and I'm like, oh my god, what do I do? Because if you guys have ever nicked, like shaving, if you've ever nicked a mole, they bleed and they don't stop for a while. And then I wasn't sure how much I took off of this thing, so I was fucking panicked. And I was like, before you know it, and I was wearing a light shirt, so I was like, before you know it, there's going to be blood dripping down my back. And then I just kept touching it, and my hand was like getting covered in blood. And so our bathroom doesn't have paper towels. We have a sink, and we have one of those Dyson hand dryers. So I was like, I'm not gonna even have a way to like clean this stuff up. Like, I don't know what to do. So I like run out of the room, grab a paper towel from our kitchen, go to the bathroom, and I'm like washing up, and it wouldn't stop bleeding. So I'm just standing there in a stall applying pressure. And I was like, what the fuck did I do?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, thank God I was in my office, and imagine having it happen like on the subway or something.
I mean, so much worse. I would actually rather have it happen on the subway. Because the
Really?
subway is just a receptacle for fucking disgusting shit. Like, no matter what happens to you, you could have a zit the size of your fucking face, and it can explode in the middle of the subway. Not the grossest thing happening on the subway.
No, I wouldn't worry about grossing people out, but on the subway, I worry about all the airborne filth and having an open wound that welcomes it, That's
true. Dude, the trials and tribulations of being a moley person. Like, why does nobody talk about this? This is a cause that we should talk about, the moleys. Constantly fucking picking and scratching at some mole, and like I'm always trying to keep track of my moles, because like how many times can I go to the dermatologist in a given year? It's like I'm like, is that one different? Like, I don't know what's the outline of that one like. Like, I have this whole like mapping thing going on. It's like, you walk into like one of a crazy, like on TV show, you walk into like the cops like side room, and he's got like a whole wall of like strings and like push pins and cards and everything. That's how I am with all my molds.
You do the mapping thing?
Yeah, dude. And there's new ones popping up every day. I never know what's going on. I have 2 new ones near my neck. It's like a whole lot of stuff.
They sort of said that the mapping thing was available to me, but like probably that I didn't need to do it. I wasn't really a candidate for it.
Every time I get all riled up about it, like in between dermatologist appointments, because every time I go to the dermatologist, they're like, "Oh, you're fine." I'm like, "How can I be fine? This mole looks like a finger. Like, this is definitely cancer." And
how can I be fine?
There's no way I could possibly be fine. I'm full of cancer. I'm a terrible person. It's gonna come back to me sometime. It might be in the form of this finger-sized mole cancer that I have.
This mole just hopped off my body and did that like dancing frog routine with a cane and top hat, and then hopped back on. We can see that.
I feel like that is a great interaction with a doctor. Like Yeah, you're fine. No, I can't be fine. I have to have cancer. I'm a terrible person.
Yeah.
Guys, what about this mole growing on my face? Do you think I should get this checked out?
No, that's fine.
For the viewer at home, Byram has some kind of like paper mache mouse growing out of his
Rebel
face.
mouse.
It's a rebel
Did
mouse.
somebody
Oh,
yeah.
DIY that? Did someone from your office go to like one of those clay places and make that?
yeah. There's a kid that works here who that's his like hobby. His whole life he's gone to these like uh
Whoa.
what do you call them? Like pottery
Alright.
barns? Is it a pottery barn? Okay. His parents encouraged him to do it because he like really loved making stuff out of clay. So he has stuck with it, and now he like lives with his girlfriend. He made them their whole china set, all this stuff. And he goes, you know what? He's been here for about 6 months. He's like, I want to make something for the office. So he made this, and everyone fell in love with it. And here I am manhandling it. This is gonna like fall and break, and then they're gonna be like, "Who did it?" I'm like, "I don't know." And then Jen's gonna post something on her fucking Twitter about watching this podcast on YouTube and how I break claymations.
That assumes
busted.
Jen Savage can log into Twitter.
True.
Yeah, we're always safe. We can say and do whatever we want. Jen Savage does not know how to log into any social media platform. But from what it sounds like, you could break that fucking thing all over the floor, and Homeboy can just make you a new one with his at-home kiln.
It's pretty solid though. It's not hollow. It's like a full. I think it would take a lot to break it, but let's try.
Yeah.
Did you see me try to look like I know how to throw?
Right. You guys want to see my new shirt?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, Juliet and the Lex. Yesterday I was having a real fucking shit of a day. I don't know, Mercury's in retrograde, it's cloudy, whatever. I was like, oh. But I got home after work and there was a package, and the package, the return address was JL, some PO box, some weird town in California, and it was addressed to Dr. Liz Hall, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. Someone's just sending me cancer in the mail now. That's like the first thing I'm gonna take all the cancer, and so this is just someone mailing me cancer. I open it up, and it's this T-shirt, and so JL, presumably Juliette Lewis, sent me a fucking package herself. I could just see her sitting in her apartment, just no pants on, just fucking rocking out to like Earth, Wind, and Fire, and just mailing out T-shirts.
How'd you get cancer? In the mail.
In the mail.
From Juliette Lewis.
Yeah, Juliette Lewis mailed me some cancer. So shout out to friend of the pod, Juliette Lewis. Thanks for sending me some cancer.
All right. So wait, did you order this shirt or did it just show up?
To me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the chain of events that inspired this shirt. Liz commented on a Juliette Lewis Instagram post. Here we go. Juliette Lewis is giving me cancer too. Look how she turned the lights off. She goes, "You're too fair."
Cancer, yeah.
All that UV lighting in your office. Hold on.
Right. I kind of thought that Juliette Lewis I had this weird fantasy that Juliette Lewis. So I commented on an Instagram photo and she replied to my comment, and I was like, oh, we're best friends now. This is perfect.
Obviously.
I thought she'd somehow like stalked me through the internet and found my mailing address and just like mailed me a T-shirt. And there was like a couple of minutes there where I was like, oh my god, I'm friends with Juliette Lewis now.
So after Liz did that, Liz replied to Juliette's comment and tagged me in it. And then of course Juliette saw me and was like, "Fuck this, I'm out." There's one too many people in this party right now. And then a couple days later, she posted a video of herself dancing in her apartment, talking about these new shirts that you could pre-order or whatever. And so I was like, "Oh, that'd be perfect," because I can't imagine anyone looking better in a Juliette Lewis T-shirt than Liz. So I order it over the holidays, right? And it's on this jankety-ass website where I'm like, I don't feel comfortable using this website.
Information. They only accept COD.
Well, they only accepted PayPal, which made me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
Literally that night, I get confirmation that they charged me. Never get any email saying, thanks for your order, here's the status, we're shipping it, whatever. So now weeks pass by, and I was hoping you would get it for your show last Friday, which we should talk about next. And then I messaged Jen last week, and I'm like, when do you guys get your mail? Is Liz home today? Like, I'm hoping she gets a T-shirt that she can wear to her show tonight. It didn't get delivered. So finally, in my PayPal invoice, there was an email address that had Juliet's name in it. So I was like, fuck this, I'm going to give it a shot. I sent an email to that address and I was like, hey, you guys charged me for a shirt, but I don't have any update on it. I would really hope that my friend gets it soon. She's your biggest fan, blah, blah, blah. And then like 3 days later, I got a response with, oh, it's in Brooklyn, so it should get delivered tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. It sounded like Juliet wrote it, like taking a shit, like on her BlackBerry, right?
Right, exactly.
So then she sends me the tracking ID, so I knew it was getting delivered the next day. And so I assumed that that was Juliet who wrote the email. So then when Liz sent a text saying she got the package yesterday, I screenshotted her reaction and I sent it back to that email. And I was like, I don't know if you have contact with Juliet, but please show her this and let her know that she made someone's day today. And that person wrote back within minutes, literally like 3 minutes, wrote back being like, that's so awesome. I'm definitely going to show this to Juliet.
Hey, all right, so you are friends.
We are friends.
Yeah, so she legit is friend of the pod right now.
Yeah, friend of the pod. Actual friend of the pod. Not listener of the pod, but potentially friend of the pod. Never going to know my face, but we're friends. We're definitely friends.
Well, we will call her this week's featured guest.
Yes, exactly. Juliet Lewis, thank you for being here.
Thanks for coming in and telling us about your merch site.
Yeah. And I guess this now assumes that I should probably listen to some of Juliet and the Lex music, because I actually haven't, ever.
Yeah, me neither. But you said Earth, Wind, and Fire. I appreciate when she does covers while she's driving through LA.
Me too.
So I'd imagine I'd like her original stuff too.
Love it. She seems to have really good stage presence and energy. She's always looking real sweaty in the photos. God bless her.
So tell us about your show last week, because you killed it.
Apparently I killed it. Yeah, it was a show, and I did well. It was good. It was fun having you guys in the audience. So I had a show last Friday at the Cutting Room, which I think is typically a jazz venue. And it was a show with the New Comic All Stars, so there were like 350 comics on the show, and I went like sort of towards the middle to the end, and I was really fucking nervous all day because I'd made the mistake of listening to myself do comedy. I went and did comedy on Wednesday night, and then listened to my Wednesday night performance, and had when I performed on Wednesday, I was like, that was good. That was a good set. Like, I felt good about what I said. Like, I think I remember hearing people laugh. Like, I feel good about that. And then I went home and listened to it, and it was like not good. It was like the audience was not laughing. I sounded really unnatural. I was like annoying. I was annoying the shit out of myself, and I was like, holy shit, I'm terrible at this. I'm terrible. Why would anyone ever want to hear me? This is really embarrassing. I have this show in 2 days, and all my friends are coming, and everyone's just gonna think that like I'm the biggest. Like, I'm just been sitting here wasting my time like a fucking fool. And so all day long on Thursday and Friday, I was kind of having like a little bit of a crisis. And then I was like, well, like, I have no choice but to go and try and do a good job at this. And so I just like kind of did it, and it was fun. And I think I did well because you guys were in the audience. You were like,
no, you could. You know what's funny though? I don't think you actually hear the audience reaction as well from the stage, which sounds weird. I don't know why you wouldn't, but so maybe when you listen to the tape, it was noticeable. It wasn't just us laughing. So we took up 2 tables towards first of all, the venue was beautiful. So I hope you got a ton of photos there, because it looked like it was a professional, like being shot for HBO type setting.
It was great.
But there were so many people behind us and around us that were fucking going crazy when you were up there. So it wasn't just us, but it was really, really good. And can't say the same for the rest of the performers. They were sobering, but you did an amazing job.
Yeah. I think that is like, I don't know. Whenever I look at anything that I created, like, I always am like, oh my god, this is horrible. I don't ever want anyone to see this.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Like any piece of software I write, like, one of the things you want to do is try to give software to people so they can use it to solve problems that they have that are the same problem that you have.
Yeah.
I always feel like, well, they're going to think I'm a total fucking idiot. I'm probably going to get fired when they see what a piece of shit this is. But they don't. And oftentimes they like it. Or like when I write anything, I read it and I'm like, What a fucking asshat.
Yeah.
But
Wait, important to note though, when you read it right after you wrote it, it doesn't look good. But do you ever read stuff you wrote like years ago and you're like, damn, this
Yes.
this is good, right?
yes, you ever go like email spelunking? Like you
Yes,
just
all
like
the
go
time.
like decades back in your email and just like look at like some weird shit like emails that you had with people. And you'd be like, "Man, that was fucking clever." Like I
Yeah.
don't write shit that clever anymore. Like that was a hot take, and I fucking
Back when Gmail was like invite only and you got like 99 invitations to send people.
right.
If you look at my first Gmail, it's an email from my AOL.com email address, and it goes, "Oh shit, somebody's got Gmail," because it was like this fucking ever elusive unicorn. Like, oh my god, I have Gmail now. I love looking at that one because it's fucking like 12 years old.
Yeah, I don't know. I think one of the like obstacles to creativity is like the inherent self-loathing that you feel, and like just so like the imposter syndrome. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But what you said earlier about like, well, I'm fucking in it now, so I'm just gonna go do a good job.
What am I gonna do? Not perform in the show? Like, no, that's not an option. So I'm gonna try and do the fucking best that I can and just get up there and whatever. Worst, like, I made Jen Savage promise to me like 3 times that she would not stop being friends with me if I did a really bad job. So that applies to all of you. You're not allowed to stop being friends with me, and you're not allowed to stop being my brother if I stop. That's the rule.
Oak, hide that manila envelope with the severance papers that you have.
That's really like that's the core of it. That's the core of it. It's like people are not gonna love me if I'm bad at this, and that's my belief. And if I can just be like that's ridiculous, then like what can I not do? You know, if I like stop believing that, then what can I not do? I think though, what I'm most excited about is that so I had that show on Friday night and I felt great about it. The best thing about doing really great at a comedy show is that you for one morning I wake up and I don't feel any fucking anxiety. Like that's it's worth 2 years of just eating shit to wake up one morning and be like, I have no anxiety. I did exactly what I'm supposed to be doing,
Yep.
and I did a great job, and this felt great. I got it for one morning, and that was fantastic. And then I went to New Jersey on Saturday night and did another show and ate all the dicks, like ate all of them. They were just like, flying into my face, just like I was just like crickets, people like groaning, like getting up and walking away, and I didn't give a shit. It was like I bombed so hard and I didn't give a shit. I got off stage and I was laughing and I was in a good mood for the rest of the night. So I think that having done well on Friday made bombing like easier for me. Like I have like I don't feel bad about bombing anymore. I don't feel it doesn't make me like question everything. I'm sure I will again in the future, but for the past I've bombed since then probably 4 times, and I haven't really it hasn't like I'm over it in 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think everybody bombs.
Yes. Everybody.
I mean, no matter where you are. But also, you know, there's a saying, and I forget who said it in jiu-jitsu, in like a lion, out like a kitten, in like a kitten, out like a lion, which means like the better and tougher and more like victorious you feel going onto the mat, the like more you're gonna get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
And like that is always true. Whenever I go to class, it's like as soon as I feel like I got this figured out and like I'm making some progress and I got something going on, I'm terrible. I suck. I get my ass kicked. Whenever I go into class being like, I don't feel good, I don't want to be here, I'm tired, like I had a bad day, I didn't sleep last night, something hurts, I'm not going to do good, but fuck it, I'm just going to show up anyway.
Yeah.
That's when I'm like tapping people, like people being like, what? Who's this motherfucker? Look at that. What's that move?
Right.
Like, that white boy got some moves!
I mean, I don't know if that is like confirmation bias, like me thinking that this is what's actually happening because I'm just doing the human pattern recognition, or whether it's actually true that like the more sort of like humble and like just like whatever happens, I'm just gonna go do it, and whether that is like the state of mind that leads to like greatest success.
Right. Is it like because you're assuming it's going to be so bad that like anything is good, or is it actually good because you're walking in there without any sort of like inflated sense of how it's like supposed to go? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sometimes one, sometimes the other, but
Yeah. I mean, I have noticed, and again, this could just be some bias that I've created, but it feels like the more I want to die before a performance, the better I do. It's like I'm like I can't even stand up right now. I'm supposed to stand up and go talking to an audience for something. I can't even fucking stand up. I want to cry. I hate everyone in this room. This is I just want, and then I do great. But on the nights where I'm like, yeah, I feel good. This is gonna be fine. Like I've been doing this for 3 years. Like what's the problem? Like last night, went and did 2 shows, kind of ate shit both times, and I was like, oh, it's fine. Who cares? No big deal. But I don't know. It's weird. Because you think you do better when you're like more relaxed and like not really like. But there's something you just I don't know. There's a level of preparedness that you kind of have to have, and you have to be scared. I don't know what it is.
I mean, I think that's true. I think you do have to be a little bit scared to be at your sharpest.
Yes, exactly.
I will say though that you don't hit this like stride where you never stop sucking. I think it's important to note whether or not it's like through pattern recognition or the mentality you have going into something, you're going to have shitty performances or shitty jiu-jitsu matches. It's like there's nothing you can do about it. You're going to have amazing ones, and then you're going to have other ones. There's a quote from Amy Poehler's book, Yes, Please, where she writes, "We have done hundreds of improv shows together, and perhaps 10 were very good. This is an excellent ratio." And it's true, because I mean, like, improv is something that's totally different and like whatever. Like, it's completely made up on the spot, and so you'll never see the same thing twice. So it's really hard to have a good show. But you watch people and you're like, oh man, that was a good show, and you realize for them, there was nothing they could have done to prepare that, right? It was just a matter of going into something open-minded and kind of like whatever, and whatever the energy was between the team. So it's just like you have to just I always think this way, because I'm going to bring it back to poop. I always bring it back to poop. But whenever you have, and I had this happen after your show the day after Thanksgiving, Liz.
Oh, yeah.
Remember we went to that bar for the after party?
Yes.
And then I left, and I kind of had to poop when I was at the bar. And I was like, I'm not going to poop at the bar. Instead, I was like, I'm going to go home. I'll probably get home within an hour, hour and a half, and I'll poop in the comfort of my home. Well, instead of taking the train and being more flexible, I got on an express bus, which got stuck on the highway, and I had to poop. And I was like, there's no bathroom. There's like, I'm hopeless. Like, I'm going to shit myself. It was at a point where I had like air that was just going to force it out. And I was like, God, please just like get me home. I need to get home. Anyway, I made it home without pooping myself. But as I like had that sweet relief in my apartment and I was like, thank God I'm safe, I was like, when is this going to happen again? Because it's going to happen again. There's nothing I could do to make sure this never happens again. And it's like the luck of the draw. Sometimes I'm going to have to poop on the bus and probably shit myself. And sometimes I'm going to have a good show. Sometimes not. There's like no...
I think that's something, it's like the impermanence of it. Like, just because I had a good show, like I knew right after the show, I was like, well, that was cool. I had a good show. The next one's probably going to suck. And so it was like nice to kind of let that go and not have to like live with the pressure that like, okay, now I have to maintain this every single time.
But the thing almost that matter, like that almost doesn't matter, because it to a certain extent it's out of your hands. I mean, you can prepare your best, and you can raise your average of good shows versus bad shows, by your preparation. But at the end of the day, like, some are going to be good, some are going to be bad. Right. I think the like sort of key to this whole thing was what you said before, which was like, I didn't even want to stand up, but I still went and did the show. And like, I think that is like the key takeaway. Like in life, like that is what you can do.
Right.
So one of my picks is a podcast by this guy Jocko Willink, and he's like he used to be in the Navy, and he's like a jiu-jitsu guy, and like he's just like an interesting character. And he does this great podcast, and one of his like principles that he keeps coming back to is that discipline is freedom. Mm-hmm. And I thought like, and going and doing something, like going and doing a show when you really couldn't fucking feel like doing anything less, is a form of discipline. And if you think about it, because it's counterintuitive, right? Because you think like, well, if you're really disciplined, it means you're not free because you're constrained by all these things that you're forcing yourself to do or whatever. But like, if you think the discipline of forcing yourself to go and do something that you don't want to do, like frees you to, like, you felt free after that, right? Like you didn't feel like constrained by like your like regrets or your, you know, anxiety or like wishing that you were, you know, doing something different. You felt free. And that's like true in a lot of cases. Like when you have the discipline to like go to the gym or like watch what you eat or like, you know, write your blog or like do things for work, you exercise that discipline and then you have the like freedom to enjoy the fruits of it and to like feel good and be the person you want to be. And you're not constrained by, you know, hoping things were a different way or wishing things were a different way or feeling bad or whatever. So
Right.
I don't know. I that sort of resonated with me, that like discipline equals freedom.
Yeah. And it felt nice to know, to like prove to myself once again that the thoughts that you have when you're afraid to do something are so wrong and irrational. Like the deep, like paralyzing fear that I have before going on stage when I'm really nervous and I feel unprepared, like that is wrong. It's not a real thing. I'm not gonna die up there. That like is some sort of evolutionary trait which I don't really need, that fear that I have. And to prove to myself once again that that fear was wrong is just like creating neural pathways that is gonna make me feel kind of less afraid to do things going
Yeah, and I mean it highlights the fact that the only thing that matters is your will.
Right.
And everything else is noise, and it's just your will, and your will is a muscle that every time you do something like that is another rep of making your will stronger and being able to like impose your will on your life
Right.
instead of having your life impose whatever on you.
Right. Exactly.
You know what's funny too? I was thinking about it over the weekend, over this past week myself, because the way I think of it is I have to stop making such emotional decisions, right? Because like I make decisions based on how I feel, and then if I'm nervous and then I make a decision not to do something because I'm nervous, I feel this sense of comfort, and I'm like, oh, that was the right decision to make.
Yeah.
Whereas like if someone tells you to do something and you have to do it, you can't operate emotionally, you just have to respond, right? And I was thinking, because I started a sketch comedy writing class on Monday, and I loved the class and I was like super excited about it, and then he gave us work to do afterwards. And then we don't have class this Monday because MLK Day. Big ups to MLK, friend of the pod. Love you, love black people. Except if you listen to a couple of our pods from maybe last year. And I remember instantly thinking like, oh man, I'm going to write this sketch. I'm going to write this sketch. I have 2 weeks to write it. And then I was like, I should start it when I get home because I'll give myself time to write it and improve it, and it'll probably suck. And then I got home and I was like all pumped, and then I like felt this like anxiety of not knowing where to start. So I just went and laid in bed, and I was like, this feels better. Maybe I'm not meant to write it right now. And then I was like, if I was talking to you guys on the podcast, you'd be like, no, fuck you. At least grab a piece of toilet paper and a pen and start writing something. But at the time, I felt so much anxiety, and what made me feel better was getting in bed and getting comfortable. And then I was like, okay, this is my body's way of telling me this is the right thing to do, which is not.
No, it's just a chemical that floods your body when you lie down. That's what I'm always like, I'm so tired, I should just stay in bed. Obviously, I'm so tired, I feel so tired. But like, no, this is just a chemical. It's a chemical in your body. And like,
and in Diet Coke, which is why I'm telling you right now.
No, that Diet Coke counteracts that chemical in your body. God bless it. But yeah, and it's like you think that these feelings that you have are so valid that like your brain is a computer that's like, oh, this is what's going on in my life, therefore it's giving me these feelings that are telling me how to act. But really, these feelings that you're having are based on like a million. Like yesterday afternoon, I almost burnt the restaurant that I work in down. And it was like, oh, you know what? I'm really mad. I'm really mad. There's no one being here. There's no one helping me. I'm not making enough money. It's everyone else's fault. I should have health insurance. Like, this is so ridiculous. I was fucking tired and I was hungry. And it, like, there were so many things that were influencing how I felt other than my actual life circumstance, that it was just, it's nice to be able to recognize the fact that, like, it's a good thing I didn't burn down the restaurant. And it's a good thing I went to my comedy show.
Yeah, I mean, that is like the ability to detach from your sort of feelings and emotions and to evaluate the situation like, what do I want? Like, what do I want to do? Like, I want this thing that I have to write written. That's what I want. I want that to be done. How I feel about it or how my like meat vehicle is like operating right now doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is my will to accomplish the thing that I set out to do. Like, and you just do it. And you can always, your will can always conquer like whatever your brain chemistry or your feelings or any of that other shit are. You always can. If you don't, it's a decision not to. But you didn't, you know, whatever rationalizations you want to put on it, the fact of the matter is you didn't do the job. And
you made that decision not to.
Right.
Also, you made the decision to use the term meat vehicle. Don't think that went unnoticed.
that might be the name of this week's podcast.
Walking around in our meat mechs.
Meat vehicle featuring Juliette Lewis is the name of this week's podcast.
All right, I'm typing it out now.
You know what's funny? People will find it searching for Juliette Lewis, which is fucking brilliant, and we need to add more celebrity names to our podcast if we want to get noticed.
That's true. That's SEO optimization.
JULIETTE
Yeah. Add David Bowie in there too.
Yeah.
I'll put David Bowie in the summary.
Do you guys realize that, I don't know who started the thread today because it was just your phone numbers, but in my spam folder this morning, I have 2 very spammy looking emails. One is from they're both from 646 numbers, but whoever started the thread added my email address. So it's like, we on for 8, and then the other one goes, I'll be the, and it's 2 646 numbers. And I was like, oh, this is so spammy. And then I'm like, what else? Who else do I have 8 o'clock meetings with besides you two?
Yeah. I was wondering about the, I'll be the, I thought it was like the beginning of a joke, but it was just, I think Leah might have written that.
Oh, no, that was just me. Like, I have to, when I respond to things, I have to do it really quick before Leah spots the phone and comes over to, like, fucking appropriate it for her own Elmo watching.
I'm commandeering that phone. It's mine.
And then she's got Elmo. No, and then if you put the phone in your pocket, she's going to collapse on the floor. I kid. She can ask for Elmo, but not food.
No.
Or water.
Elmo.
Just Elmo.
She's like, can I have a Elmo and some floss
Yeah, for my chompers.
keep these chompers going?
She says 12 words, one of which is Elmo.
What are other 11? Mommy, Daddy.
Mommy, Daddy, Gigi, Nana, No, Yes, Elmo, Wawa, which is water, Baba, which is ball,
Baby.
Baby.
She's got baby.
Now she starts saying up.
Wow.
There's 1 or 2 more that I can't remember. They'll come to me, but yeah, she's got a few.
Cool.
Speaks a little English.
She's turning into a little person.
She is. With teeth and words and stuff.
And anger.
Right, and anxiety.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Ennui.
Stress.
Existential crisis.
Right.
Yeah, carrying around the burdens of her parents.
Can we just say, I still hold this to the day, as the biggest dick move ever was to put the word ennui in for what we were doing, Pictionary?
Yes!
That's fucked up. Who did that?
I did.
Oak did.
It was that it did.
Pictionary? Yeah, that was on my 30th birthday.
Yeah, it was Pictionary, or it was like, what was the one where you like
Charades.
pantomime stuff?
Yeah, it was charades. I think it was
Charades, right.
Yeah. Ennui. Byron get it. That was so fucked up. Remember when I poisoned Amy with paint fumes that night?
Yeah.
Oh, that was the night that we did it?
Yeah. So for the listeners, for my 30th birthday, it was in Boston, and Byram came, called me. He was like, I'm here. I'm like, all right, but I didn't answer my phone, and he had to wait outside my door for like an hour. But
outside your door, I went to Trader Joe's for 2 hours.
That's right. The Trader Joe's in Coolidge Corner is like going to some like war-torn country in Afghanistan. Afghanistan's a country. But also, I thought it would be a really fun activity, a fun group activity to make everyone that came on a 4 to 5 hour public transportation to help me paint my bedroom. So everybody helped me paint my bedroom, and we got that done. And then we went out to dinner, and then played charades, and drank, and did a bunch of drugs. And Amy went to sleep in my bedroom, and maybe woke up with a whole lot less brain cells the next morning because the pain was definitely still wet, and there was a lot of fumes. So that was.
I mean, I slept in the same room, but nobody seems to be caring about my brain cells.
I know that's because you're made of lead, though. I think a good portion of your skull is made of lead.
You guys want to do picks? I know we've been doing picks the whole time, but.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. My pick of the week is a comedian named John Mulaney. I didn't say this last week, did I?
I don't think so.
He is very funny, and it's funny to watch like a white Irish Catholic person make jokes about being a white Irish Catholic person, because I feel like that's kind of rare. And he's really funny. He has a special called, I think, New Kid in Town is his special, and then I can't remember what the other one is, but his name is John Mulaney. And then, as always, I just have to put this in there, fucking Louis C.K. I've been watching him a lot lately, and he is just the fucking funniest person on this earth, as far as I'm concerned.
Dude, so I saw him one of his shows like 2 years ago or something.
Yeah.
I've never laughed so hard in my life. Like, it was like starting to become like I just like it was. I was concerned for my health.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't catch my breath. My like abdominal muscles were like on fire. Like, I felt like I'd been like maced or something. You know what I mean? Like, I was just out of control of like my face hurt. Like,
Yeah.
it was.
He's out of control.
He's out of control.
He's
Fucking
so
brilliant.
funny.
And so prolific.
Yeah, absolutely. Special after special after special. Like, how do you sit down and fucking write those things? It's astonishing to me. But yeah, definitely Louis C.K. as always.
So I'm gonna reiterate my picks from earlier. One is the Jocko Willink podcast. It's just it's basically a podcast about all kinds of stuff, life, business, jiu-jitsu, whatever, history. But it's really good. The guy has like an awesome point of view, and a lot of sort of good life advice. So I highly recommend it. I'll put a link to it on Twitter. And again, I haven't played it yet, but I excited to. Well, not excited. Whatever. Interested about that Dragon Cancer, the game. You can sort of Google it. I think there's a Kickstarter page, and it should be coming out soon. I don't know how you get it yet, but or if you can listen to the Reply All episode about that, it's like incredibly poignant. But don't do it in front of people you want to impress, because you're gonna cry, because it's fucking intense.
Lots everywhere. How do you spell Jocko Willink?
Jocko.
Okay.
Willink.
Where's he from?
California, maybe. He was like a SEAL for like 20 years or something. So,
Cool.
but Bean, I would highly recommend listening to his podcast. I think you'd really like it. I think you get a lot out of it. Byram, you should listen to.
Yeah, I need to get more into podcasts because I just listen to hours.
I mean, you don't really have to listen. There's not a lot of time in the day, and if you're gonna listen to hours like 4 or 5 times a week, there's not that many.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that we have 4 or 5 podcasts a week. I mean you've listened to the same one 4 or 5 times every week.
Over and over again. There's always new like stuff to pick out, little things we say, so it's important to listen to.
Right.
Yeah, I just have the same songs on a Spotify playlist that I listen to whenever I listen to anything on my phone, and I instead should just have a good lineup of podcasts.
There's some really great ones out there.
My pick of the week is Shameless, which is back for its 6th season. It's such a fucking good show. William H. Macy's brilliant. Emmy Rossum's brilliant. The whole cast is just, I don't know how they got all these people they're just fucking phenomenal. So that's my pick of the week is Shameless. I also, pick of the week is this piece of software that's free, Celtex, which allows you to create scripts, like screenwriting stuff. I
Oh,
wanted to sound like I had a good software.
Yeah. Smart things. Here's the smart thing. Your teeth look so white.
It's that Diet Coke I just swished
Ooh,
with.
yeah, man.
No, I think it rubbed off. Leah smiled at me for a quick second, and it was like it just like it went through the computer to my face.
Yeah.
can I tell you? So she has become like, she is like overwhelming the teachers at her school. Like has gotten to the point where she can walk out of her like toddler classroom across the hall and into the principal's office, climb up on the principal's lap, and play with the computer. Like
she runs this town.
she just is like mind control over some of these people. Like her like the teacher of her classroom like is not interested in her like bullshit. She knows that Leah like has everyone else played, but I could tell like when the other like administrators comment about like, oh, Leah kind of gets whatever she wants, and Chantal, the teacher in Leah's class, was like, fuck this kid. But which we maybe not kind of agree with, but the other ones are always like, Leah wants to use the computer, so they let her. Leah wants to do that. She wants to walk out of her classroom and go in the office and poke around and stuff, and they're like, oh, she smiled, so we'll just let her do it. Because she fucking stink eyes people all the time, and then when she gives you a smile, it's like, oh, I'll do whatever you want.
For mom.
She also has one of those Orbitz Gums commercials where it's like dirty face.
Yeah,
clean it up. And there's like smile and it's like a twinkle. You're like, oh. Leah is so unlike you and Amy.
Yeah.
She's just
Yes,
like,
yeah, totally.
Where'd you guys get her?
I don't know. There's a mix-up at the hospital or something?
I'm also imagining Leah in like those like Baby's Day Out movies where like the kid just like walks across a highway, and like cars are like, and that kid's like doesn't flinch at all.
She's got her little red wagon full of remotes. She doesn't give a fuck. Just going to the Mint across the street.
Totally. I don't know, dude. It's a nut.
Such a nut.
Remember, guys, it's 9 o'clock. Good pod.
Yeah,
Good pod. Do this again next week.
Yeah.
Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, I'm around on Monday if you guys are, because I am off, so I'll be home and I can record somewhere that doesn't have this shitty acoustics.
Oh, sweet. So maybe we'll look for Monday.
Yeah.
If you guys are free Monday, we do Monday morning.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right,
fuckers. Love you.
Peace out, kids.
Love you.
Bye.